They tried to steal my land with a spreadsheet and a smile. And the wildest part? They almost got away with it. By sunrise, I was fixing frozen pipes. By sunset, I was in handcuffs on my own ranch. And somewhere in between, a fake HOA decided they owned 240 acres my family had worked since 1947. It started quiet, the kind of quiet you only get in the mountains at dawn. Frost clinging to the pasture like powdered sugar, air so cold it burned your lungs a little when you breathed too deep. I was knee-deep in mud, wrench in hand, trying to bully a stubborn irrigation valve back into place. Just another ranch morning. Cows fed, horses watered, coffee already gone cold. Then Caleb came screaming across the field in the old mule like he'd seen the devil himself. "Clint, we got cops at the gate. Now that'll wake you up faster than caffeine." 2 sheriff cruisers sat at the cattle guard, lights off but tension thick enough you could chew it. One deputy leaned against the hood, like I might start shooting at clouds any second. Said they'd gotten a 911 call, armed trespasser, threatening residents, digging trenches near an HOA community. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Only trench I dug was for a busted pipe. And yeah, I carry a rifle. It's called Bears. I handed them my deed, laminated, folded, older than most marriages in that valley. My family's name stamped across it since Truman was president. They checked it, shifted awkwardly, apologized, drove off. But I didn't walk away right then. Because I knew who made that call. Karen Hausman, queen of the Vinyl Palace development on the ridge. The kind of woman who smiles with her teeth, but not her eyes. Botox so tight you could bounce quarters off it. I'd seen her once, standing up there with binoculars like she was scouting Yellowstone. Next day, another call. Then another. Squatter complaints. Fire hazards. Illegal livestock operations. Still not sure what an illegal cow looks like, but apparently I had a herd of them. I started logging everything. Dates, times, badge numbers. 6 calls in 3 weeks. Every time I'd walk to the gate, explain reality to some embarrassed deputy, then go back to feeding animals like nothing happened. Then came the envelope. Official-looking letterhead, heavy paper, full of legal-sounding nonsense. According to Pine Range Valley HOA, my ranch had been retroactively included in something called Cluster 7 expansion. They said I owed back dues. On 240 acres. I laughed so hard I nearly fell off the porch. Then I stopped laughing. Because people who invent things like that don't usually stop at letters. So I drove down to their office, fake log cabin, fake antlers, real smugness. And that's where I met Karen face to face. She walked in like she already owned the room. No handshake. Just that syrupy voice dripping confidence. According to her, my land was now part of an eco-buffer integration zone. She slid a glossy map across the table, pastel colors, neat little boundaries, my ranch painted pink like it was a baby shower cake. No survey seal. No county stamp. Nothing real. Just authority drawn with crayons. I told her exactly what I thought, that she was one bad subpoena away from fraud charges. That I'd spent 22 years as a state prosecutor and knew fake power when I saw it. She told me I was destroying community harmony. I told her I wasn't playing cowboy. I was the cowboy. 2 mornings later, someone installed a steel gate across the road leading to my land. Fresh sign bolted on, private HOA road. I called the county. Public road. Always had been. So I chained that gate to my tractor and ripped it out like a rotten tooth. An hour later, I was in handcuffs. Except the cuffs didn't belong to real deputies. Took a real sheriff showing up to realize the officers detaining me were private security clowns with fake badges tied straight back to the HOA. That was the moment it stopped being annoying and started smelling criminal. I called an old friend from the Attorney General's office that night. Told him everything. Every letter, every fake badge, every little lie stacked like kindling. He called back the next day and dropped the first real twist. Karen's son, GIS assistant with county access, had quietly edited public map overlays. Not the official records, just the digital ones people actually use. Enough to make it look like my land was under HOA review. They didn't redraw the law. They rewired perception. That hit me harder than anything. Because suddenly this wasn't a petty HOA feud. It was a blueprint. Fake maps. Fake cops. Fake jurisdiction. If it worked on me, it could work on anyone without the time, money, or stubborn streak to fight back. That realization settled in like a storm rolling over the ridge. And storms make ranchers move fast. I started collecting everything. Surveyor statements. County logs. Planning office records. Built a paper trail thick enough to choke a courtroom. Then one night, headlights crept into my lower pasture. 3 vehicles idling near the power junction. No markings. No reason to be there unless you were about to do something stupid. I grabbed the shotgun and walked down slow, boots quiet in the grass. Years in court teach patience. Years on a ranch teach silence. Caught them red-handed, tools in hand, ready to cut power. Same fake enforcement crew. One of them already out on bail. Sheriff hauled them off in cuffs this time, not mine. And when investigators cracked their phones, group chats with Karen talking about neutralizing resistance. That's when the whole thing cracked open. We filed suit. Not a slap on the wrist either, full civil RICO. Fraud, impersonation, coercion. The kind of legal warhead that leaves craters. Karen came tearing down my road the day she found out, screaming through my gate like I'd betrayed her personally. I tipped my hat and told her the truth. She wasn't losing a feud. She was losing a racket. After that, everything accelerated. News coverage. Neighbors coming forward. Elderly couples saying they'd been bullied into agreements. Fake security contracts tied to shell companies with Karen's name all over them. Then she crossed the line into desperation. Sent a drone over my barn one night, thermal camera, surveillance footage labeled by GPS. I shot it down. Clean shot. Hard to argue you're innocent when your spying crashes into someone else's pasture. That drone sealed it. Courtroom was packed for the injunction hearing. Journalists, locals, even HOA board members pretending they'd just wandered in by accident. Marshall, my lawyer, laid it out piece by piece. Fake maps. Fake cops. Financial trails. That drone footage glowing on the screen like a confession written in neon. The judge didn't blink. Full restraining order. Criminal referrals. Racketeering review. You could feel the oxygen leave the room. After that, the dominoes didn't fall, they collapsed. Search warrants. Arrests. Board members resigning overnight. One treasurer flipping and handing over internal memos where Karen literally talked about eliminating holdouts so satellite maps would look clean. That part stuck with me. All that chaos just so a development could look seamless from space. Somewhere in the middle of all that, I had a realization that hit deeper than the lawsuit, deeper than the headlines. People don't always steal land with guns anymore. Sometimes they steal it with paperwork. With confidence. With the assumption that nobody will push back. And maybe the scariest part, it works most of the time. Because most people are tired. Busy. Alone. And bullies count on that. Karen finally got arrested at home. Real marshals this time. Cameras flashing. No pastel maps, no fake authority, just steel cuffs and silence. The trial itself felt almost anticlimactic after everything. No grand speeches. Just facts stacking up like fence posts. Voice memos. Emails. Fake IDs. A whole parallel reality built out of lies. Her lawyer tried calling it overzealousness. The judge called it ambition without law. 15 years. No parole for 10. Just like that, the woman who tried to redraw my life with a printer and a clipboard disappeared into a prison transport van. The fake officers got time too. The insiders lost licenses. The HOA accounts froze, board dissolved, website vanished like a bad memory. And me? I got damages. A lot of them. More money than I'd ever expected to see tied to my name. But the funny thing is that wasn't the part that mattered. A week later, I rebuilt the front gate myself. Fresh walnut boards, hand-cut, sun warm on my back. Took all afternoon, just me and the smell of sawdust. When I burned the final words into the wood, I took my time. This farm is not HOA property. You have been warned once. And standing there, looking at that gate, I realized something simple and uncomfortable. Justice doesn't always feel like victory. Sometimes it feels like exhaustion and relief and a quiet kind of anger that never fully leaves. Because winning doesn't erase what it cost. But it does change what comes next. Couple weeks later, a neighbor showed up with coffee and a question. Said someone was trying the same stunt on his cousin's land. I gave him my lawyer's number, then stopped myself. Told him I'd help personally. And that's how it started. More calls. More stories. Farmers, retirees, people who didn't know legal language but knew when something smelled wrong. So we built a small nonprofit, nothing fancy, just a handful of stubborn folks who refused to let paperwork bullies redraw reality. We called it Ground Back, because that's what it was about, taking ground back. Not with fists, not with fear, but with truth and enough backbone to stand still when someone tells you to move. These days, the ranch is quieter again. Frost still comes early. Pipes still break at the worst times. Cows still don't care about lawsuits. But every now and then, I catch myself looking at that gate and thinking about how close it all came. How easy it would have been to ignore the first letter. Laugh it off. Let someone else deal with it. And that's the part that lingers. Because if I had walked away, they would have kept going. So here's the question that keeps rattling around in my head, the one I still don't have a clean answer for. At what point does standing your ground stop being stubborn and start being necessary? Because the line between peace and surrender? Sometimes it's thinner than a fence wire at sunrise. I'm curious what you think. Have you ever been pushed by someone with just enough power to make you doubt yourself? Did you fight back or walk away? Drop your thoughts, your stories, your take on where justice really lives in the comments. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Truth spreads faster when people stop whispering.